Welcome, everybody. Scott Golden of Pro Wrestling Logic here with you, and we are going to do a review of the April 25th, 2020 SmackDown program. I was not particularly a fan of the program, but that doesn't really matter. It matters what you thought. Please comment below with your thoughts on tonight's or last night's SmackDown, as it were. I thought it was way too heavy on nostalgia. We'll get there in the main segment, but we opened the show with the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, The New Day, making their way down to the ringside area, and they recapped that Big E defeated The Miz last week and Jey Uso last week to win the Tag Team Championships. Yes, a man won a singles match to win the Tag Team Championships. Stupid. Just plain stupid. Kingston praised Big E for winning the championship, and then there are no fans to cheer. But Big E pointed out there were no fans. In any event, Kingston noted they have more tag team championships than great teams like the Hart Foundation, Bulldogs, and Demolition. That also means you lost more, so I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing. The Lucha House Party interrupted. Lince Dorado noted that they were all waiting for opportunities, and other teams were waiting for their opportunities as well. Dorado almost challenged the New Day, and John Morrison and The Miz interrupted. They ignored the Lucha House Party and jumped into the ring. Miz pointed out that he never lost the championships in a tag team matchup, and Morrison noted the New Day never beat them in a traditional tag match either. The Lucha House Party jumped into the ring, and there was a lot of screaming. And it was done predominantly in Spanish, so no one really knows what was said unless you speak Spanish. And they turned to Morrison, asked what Malik just said, and they played around with quoting the wrong things said for a few minutes. The Forgotten Sons out next, and they make their way to the ring. Cutler noted that they came home from defending their country. They struggled, and Jackson Riker said that Miz is a poser and a fake. He only played a Marine on TV, but that Riker and his partner were actually people who served the country. Okay, couple of stupid things here. One, who cares if you serve the country if this is a worldwide audience, folks? In other words, you're going to alienate people by doing the whole military shtick. Or potentially anyway, especially in a worldwide pandemic, and there are people that think, the U.S. isn't handling things well. Why bring up military service? It's unnecessary. Forgotten Sons jumped the New Day and the Lucha House Party, and they beat them down, and Miz and Morrison ran out of the ring. In the back, Miz and Morrison, furious about what happened, and they were approached and asked about the Forgotten Sons interference. Miz and Morrison were more concerned with the Lucha House Party and promised to deal with them later. We come back to a recap of King Corbin attacking and injuring Elias last week. Michael Cole noticed that there were injuries that hampered his music career. Elias can't perform for right now. Money in the Bank qualifying match up next as King Corbin defeats Drew Gulak with Daniel Bryan. This is just stupid. As mentioned, I'm not a Corbin fan, but even if I was, there's no reason for him to go over Gulak when Gulak's finally getting a decent run. Corbin has his way early, which only nullifies the push of the lighter guys. For a guy like Corbin, who's relatively inconsequential, to get the advantage here. Gulak struggles, and Corbin is firmly in control for the majority of the match. Gulak fights back and sent Corbin to the floor. He followed up with a sliding drop kick and then a shotgun drop kick, which sent Corbin over the announce table. And then we go into a break. Gulak in control after the break, and he's working the arm. Corbin recovered and rolls through with a vicious clothesline for a near fall. Gulak then makes a brief comeback and rolls up Corbin for the near fall. Corbin quickly takes over and then hits a series of forearms. Corbin attempts a chokeslam, but Gulak's able to block it into a pinning combination for a close near fall, and then Gulak gave Corbin a dragon screw, leg whip into the steps, and hit across body for a near fall back on the inside. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura out next, attacked Bryan on the floor. The announcers mentioned that they've had problems in past weeks. Didn't really go into enough detail as far as to what those problems were, so that if I were a first-time viewer, I wouldn't know or care. Gulak jumped over the ring to make a save. Corbin jumped Gulak from behind and hit his finish for the win, and Corbin qualifies for the Money in the Bank ladder match. To which we all say, isn't the idea of the Money of the Bank ladder match to make new stars? Corbin is as established as he's going to get. I fear that they're going to put one of the heavyweight championships on him at some point, at which point I may run my head over with a wood chipper or something, because that would be a horrible thing to do. Anyway, we then go, after the match, we see that Cesaro and Nakamura held Gulak as Corbin hit him with his scepter. Michael Cole and Corey Graves then talk about the fact that Rob Gronkowski has won the opportunity, or been given the opportunity, rather, to play in, I believe it's Tampa, with Tom Brady, wherever Brady went. And I'm not a football fan, by the way. And so they also mentioned he is still the 24/7 champion. Sheamus versus David Violet. Your typical squash match, which is totally inconsequential, not really needed. Brief flurry by, and I called him David, his name's Daniel, supposedly. Anyway, brief flurry by the enhancement talent early. Sheamus takes over, he dominates the match, and then takes him down. Sheamus then hits the bro kick for the win. Sheamus demanded to have respect throughout. Then we go to a Jeff Hardy, I guess, redemption segment. These are so good, but at the same time, I don't know where they're going to go with Hardy, so I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to be used properly. Hardy discussed his daughters and wanting to set a good example for them. They highlighted his return at WrestleMania 33 alongside his brother and winning the championships in the ladder match. Then we see clips of Triple H and DX invading WCW from the mid-90s, or late 90s rather. Cole and Graves discuss Jeff Hardy again, noted that he'd be in the Hall of Fame someday, and there's also the notation that he doesn't understand Sheamus' attitude. Perhaps Sheamus could kick Cole so hard he's detached from his larynx. That would help the whole entire universe, especially during this difficult time. Sheamus was standing behind Cole and knocked his headset off. Good move. Okay, so Lucha House Party up, defeating Miz and Morrison. Number one, Lucha House Party is kind of old hat. They've been around a while, and rebuilding them on a full-time basis as a tag team would take a good deal of energy and effort. Not exactly the smartest thing in the world to be doing in the middle of a pandemic. If you're going to build somebody new, please. Also, you bring back John Morrison just to lose matches. I really, really don't get that. Anyway, Metalik hits a moonsault off of Dorado's shoulders for a near fall. Morrison recovers and then isolates Dorado. Dorado keeps being in the wrong part of town for the next several minutes, and then he's cut off from his partner. Morrison hits a running knee and a shooting star press for a near fall. Dorado fights back and hits a stunner on Morrison. Metalik gets the hot tag, guy I've never really been into, so it wasn't really that big a deal. Plus, with no crowd, it's hard to really care about hot tags anyway. Then he attempted a moonsault off the top, but Miz got his feet up. Miz then tries a skull-crushing finale, but Metalik rolls through and gets the pin. So let me get this straight. You go to the trouble of bringing John Morrison back only to be part of a losing team. Smart use of your money. Anyway, they recapped Tamina defeating Sasha Banks last week to earn a title shot against Bayley. Cole announces that SmackDown's Women's Champion Bayley defends against Tamina at Money in the Bank. Yeah, there's a match that will sell absolutely no buys. Tamina is at best sluggish, at worst dangerous, kind of like Nia Jax from time to time, only not as amplified. Anyway, another Money in the Bank qualifier, this time the ladies. Lacey Evans defeated Sasha Banks with Bayley. Banks had a hand fan with Lacey Evans' daughter's picture on it. Bringing kids into things is just tacky, especially in the pandemic. Let's not do that. Anyway, Evans brawls with Banks around the building and around the outside. Bayley tries to interfere, but Evans cuts her off. Evans attempts the woman's right, but Banks smashed her hand into the ring post. Banks follows up with a meteor for a near fall. Evans makes a brief comeback, literally a couple of minutes at best, and sends Bayley headfirst into the ring post. Attempts a superplex, but Banks attacks her hand and escapes. Banks locks on the bank statement, but Evans makes it to the ropes. I don't know why. If you're going to be pushing Sasha to the level you are, her finish isn't being more protected, but what do I know? Evans rocks Banks with the woman's right, but Bayley puts Banks' foot on the bottom rope to save the day. Evans went after Bayley, and Banks rolled up Evans, but the referee was trying to get Bayley out of the ring. Banks was furious and told Bayley to go away. Obviously, this is leading to some sort of turn down the road, and we get to see the 38th chapter of Banks versus Bayley. Then we see Evans get a roll-up or a pinfall after the woman's right. Evans qualifies for the Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't see much in her, so I'm not so thrilled about this. After the match, Tamina runs out and nails Bayley with a super kick on the ramp. History of Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. Basically, a video package highlights the fact that Braun Strowman's time in the Wyatt family was impactful. Bray is saying thank you for the black sheep. Yada, 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 yada. Then we do another recap. This time, a recap of the Mandy Rose, Otis, Sonya Deville three-way storyline or four-way storyline if you include Dolph Ziggler. Dana Brooke approaches Carmella in the back, and Brooks notes that Carmella has Money in the Bank qualifying match next week. Carmella says Brooke inspired her last week, but tonight they're focusing on winning the tag team championships. And then there's more clips of Triple H. These are getting lame by now. Who cares about a guy who is, an executive predominantly getting a spotlight here? Now, Women's Tag Team Championships, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, easy for me to say, defeat Dana Brooke and Carmella. Brooke up with a drop kick to jumpstart the match. Carmella hits a crossbody off the apron onto Bliss and onto the floor. Cross recovers and takes out Carmella, but Brooke hits a crossbody and nails the barricade. Back from a commercial break, Camilla rocks Bliss with a series of clotheslines. The clothesline isn't an overused move or anything. On the floor, Brooke hit a handspring elbow on Cross, and then Bliss hits a sliding dropkick on Brooke. Modified 3D for the win to retain the titles by the champions. So still your SmackDown Tag Team Champions, or Women's Tag Team Champions, more accurately, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Then we get to what we all supposedly came for, the Triple H anniversary segment. I'm going to run through this really, really quickly. Let's see. Shawn Michaels is there. Michaels says that you've been friends for over 25 years and basically gets annoyed that he didn't get a 25-year celebration. Then we see Michaels and Triple H as part of DX. Various clips throughout the segment. Says he never made a mistake, and then they show Michaels making a mistake. DX blooper package airs. Then video package highlights all of Triple H's losses at WrestleMania. So basically, we're painting him as a loser. Then, let's see. Michael says that it isn't about him when he's asked about his losses at Mania. Video package highlights all of Triple H's losses, including the Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, and so forth, as we mentioned. And then talking about career, Michael says there's only one. And then he meets Stephanie McMahon. Let's see. He called Stephanie no fun. Stephanie calls and complains about being mocked by Michaels. Triple H hangs up. Flair calls and basically says not to let Shawn Michaels super kick him at the end of the segment. Yes, he actually legitimately said that. Flair starts crying, so he got off the phone. Triple H noted that Flair couldn't control it. Flair called back, and he was bawling. And they cut to a commercial. Back from the break. Road Dogg calls, asks if they're alive, says he should have dyed his beard before calling. Michaels notes they don't have a lot of time left. And Hunter says he talked to Fox and they can go as long as they want. Michaels says he hasn't even mentioned the Katie Vick angle. Vince McMahon comes out and basically he stays on the ramp. He says he's not going to come close enough to break social distancing. Michaels referred to Triple H as his son-in-law multiple occasions, as well as his legit first name of Paul. He called Triple H boring and said he did a terrible job as the gobbledygooker. Don't know where that came from, but anyway, this is what he said. He also puts down the Katie Vick angle and said that he doesn't know why Triple H would do that to a mannequin. Then he brings up something in a storyline with Bayley. This is your life segment from a few years back. He says it was terrible, and he's noting that it wasn't Bayley's fault. McMahon said Hunter's terrible, and that this is a terrible way to go out. He says he loves him, but he's kicking him out. McMahon left, turns the lights off, and Triple H and Michaels still in the ring. They played cricket sounds as the show ended. Triple H and Michaels were both laughing as McMahon strutted off. Next week, Daniel Bryan against King Corbin in a Money in the Bank qualifier. Otis takes on Dolph Ziggler, and Mandy Rose goes one-on-one with Carmella, plus Jeff Hardy's Chapter 4, The Comeback. So, I mean, really, does it get any worse? Does it really get any worse? I mean, they took at least half an hour of this show and gave it to Triple H, a guy who's not wrestling more than maybe twice a year at most. And we do it just because we have to fill time. Like, wow. It just is so frustrating to me that they have so much talent and they couldn't just wait. Because wrestling isn't needed during the pandemic, folks, no matter what anybody tells you. It could wait till next month. It could wait till the new year. It could wait till whenever if needed. And fans are going to come back. They're going to come back in droves because they haven't had the entertainment they were looking for. In any event, this has been Scott Golden with Pro Wrestling Logic, reminding you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the ring, your mind in the moment, rather. Maybe in the ring, too, if you're an independent wrestler or something. And I also remind you to check out the other content on the channel. Like, subscribe, comment below, and all that good stuff.